Somewhere in the dark heart of winter, something is moving. It has no army, no weapons, no walls to hide behind. Only its family, its instincts, and a will to survive that has outlasted every ice age, every extinction event, and every attempt by man to erase it from the earth. This is the wolf. Meet Canis lupus, the gray wolf, one of the most successful predators ever to walk this planet. For over 300,000 years, wolves have shaped the landscapes, the prey, and even the rivers of North America. Scientists call this kind of sweeping ecological influence a trophic cascade, and no animal demonstrates it more powerfully than the wolf. At anywhere from 60 to 145 pounds and stretching up to 6 feet from nose to tail, the gray wolf is built for one thing: endurance. Not speed, not brute strength. Endurance. As the kind that breaks the spirit of anything it pursues. Notice something remarkable in that movement. Each wolf steps precisely into the tracks of the wolf in front of it. A pack moving in single file creates just one set of prints in the snow, reducing resistance, conserving heat, and leaving prey completely baffled about how many animals are actually out there. This is not accident. This is strategy. This is intelligence in motion. For decades, scientists described wolf packs as brutal dominance hierarchies, alpha males ruling through aggression, beta wolves jockeying for power, omega wolves absorbing abuse at the bottom. It made for dramatic television, but it was almost entirely wrong. Wolf biologist L. David Meck, who studied wild wolves for over 50 years, discovered something far more interesting. A wolf pack is, and in almost every meaningful way, a family. A breeding pair, mom and dad, raise their pups across multiple generations. The so-called alpha wolves are simply the parents. The older siblings babysit. The parents lead hunts. Everyone feeds the pups. Everyone guards the territory. The pack doesn't function on fear. It functions on cooperation, loyalty, and something that, in any other species, we would not hesitate to call love. Meck himself revised his earlier findings, writing that the concept of the alpha wolf, the way it had entered popular culture, fundamentally misrepresents how wild wolves actually live. According to the International Wolf Center, a pack typically ranges from 5 to 10 members, though some in Yellowstone have exceeded 30 individuals. A wolf hunt does not begin with a sprint. It begins with information. Not for hours, sometimes days. A pack will probe a herd of elk or bison, testing, watching, reading. They are not looking for the biggest animal. They are not looking for a fight. They are looking for vulnerability. A limp. A hesitation. A calf that strays just a half step too far. When the chase begins, it is a masterwork of coordination. Each wolf plays a role. Some drive, some flank. Some cut off escape routes. There is no shouted command, no whistle, no signal, just decades of evolved instinct and years of experience running together. Studies published in the journal Behavioral Ecology confirm that wolves can sustain a chase at 35 to 40 miles per hour for up to 20 minutes. Not to outrun prey, but to exhaust it. The wolf's respiratory and cardiovascular systems are engineered for exactly this, the long, relentless pressure that says, without words, we are not leaving. Success rates vary dramatically. Research from Yellowstone National Park, where wolves were reintroduced in 1995 after a 70-year absence, shows packs succeed on roughly 20% of their hunts against healthy elk. Against weakened or injured prey, that number climbs sharply. The hunt is not guaranteed. The hunt is never guaranteed. But when it succeeds, the pack eats, and so does much of the forest around them. Here is where the wolf's story becomes almost impossible to believe. And yet, it is one of the most documented ecological events in modern science. When wolves were exterminated from Yellowstone in the 1920s, elk populations boomed. Unchecked, those elk grazed river valleys to bare dirt. Without vegetation, stream banks eroded. Rivers widened and became shallow. Fish disappeared. And songbirds declined. Beaver populations collapsed. Then in 1995 and 1996, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service reintroduced 41 wolves from Canada into Yellowstone. What followed stunned the scientific community. The elk, now hunted again, began avoiding open valleys. As they moved to higher ground, vegetation returned to the riverbeds. Willows and aspens grew back. Beavers returned, building dams that slowed and deepened the water. Fish came back. Songbirds nested in the new trees. The rivers, this is the part that still astonishes people, physically changed course. More stable banks meant less erosion. Channels narrowed and deepened. The water ran cleaner and colder. Wolves had, quite literally, changed the rivers. This process, predators reshaping entire ecosystems not just by killing prey, but by changing prey behavior, is called a trophic cascade. Yellowstone became its textbook example. According to a landmark 2011 study by William Ripple and Robert Beshta at Oregon State University, the wolf's reintroduction triggered one of the most dramatic ecological recoveries ever recorded in North America. Before the hunt, after a kill, when a pup goes missing, when a rival pack crosses the boundary. Wolves howl. A wolf's howl can travel up to 10 miles across open terrain, farther in cold, still air. Each howl is as individual as a fingerprint. Researchers have documented that wolves can identify specific pack members, strangers, and even distinguish between a pack of 2 and a pack of 10, based on howl acoustics alone. But howling is only part of the conversation. Wolves communicate through scent marking, body posture, like tail position, ear angle, and direct eye contact. A submissive wolf drops low, ears flat, tail tucked, almost folding itself into apology. A confident wolf stands tall, tail high, gaze direct. No words needed. The message is always clear. Social bonding in wolves is constant, physical, and enthusiastic. Greetings between pack members look, there's really no other word for it, joyful. These aren't just behavioral reinforcements. They are relationships. And wolves, like humans, maintain them with daily investment. For most of recorded American history, the wolf was the enemy. Seen as a threat to livestock and, in older myths, to human safety, wolves were systematically hunted, poisoned, and trapped across the continental United States. By 1930, the gray wolf had been exterminated from over 95% of its historic range in the lower 48 states. In Yellowstone, the last packs were gone by 1926. What followed, as we've seen, was ecological collapse in slow motion. The wolf's return has not been without conflict. Ranchers in Idaho, Montana, and Wyoming have reported livestock losses since reintroduction. A real and economically significant impact for families whose livelihoods depend on their herds. Compensation programs exist, but they are imperfect. The debate over wolf management is one of the most contentious in American conservation. Today, the IUCN Red List classifies the gray wolf as least concern globally. But that picture is uneven. In the lower 48 United States, populations remain fragile and politically contested. In 2021, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service removed federal protections for gray wolves across most of the country, a decision challenged by multiple conservation groups in federal court. The wolf's future in America remains unresolved. In April or May, after a 63-day gestation, a litter of 4 to 6 pups enters the world. They are born blind and deaf. They weigh less than a pound. They cannot regulate their own body temperature. For the first 3 weeks of their lives, their survival depends entirely on their mother. But they are not alone. The entire pack, aunts, uncles, older siblings, becomes their caretaker. Adults regurgitate food for the pups. Yearlings babysit while the adults hunt. Everyone tolerates the chaos of puppy behavior with what can only be described as infinite patience. By autumn, the pups will be running with the pack. By their second year, they may leave, striking out alone or with a sibling to find a mate and start a pack of their own. That dispersal can cover hundreds of miles. It's how wolves colonize new territory. It's how genetic diversity is maintained across populations spanning entire mountain ranges. The wolf did not ask to become a symbol. It did not campaign for its place at the top of the food chain. It simply did what every living thing does. It survived. It adapted. It held its family together through one of the harshest environments on Earth. And in doing so, it held the ecosystem together, too. What the wolf teaches us, if we are willing to listen, is that the wilderness is not a collection of independent species. It is a web. Pull out one thread, and the whole thing trembles. The wolf is one of those threads, one of the most important ones. We spent a century tearing that thread out. We are only beginning to understand what we lost. And in places like Yellowstone, we are beginning, cautiously, imperfectly, to put it back. The pack moves on, to the next valley, the next hunt, the next night of howling that rolls across the mountains like a question nobody has fully answered yet. They were here long before we arrived. With enough wisdom and enough will. They might be here long after we figured out how to share the land. The wolf is not our enemy. The wolf is our mirror. And right now, it is watching.